Hello everybody, it's me Sergio with Mobility Direct, and today I'm going to show you how to completely break down the Baja Bandit scooter. It's one of my favorite mobility scooters. If you are new to our channel, you may want to check out our playlist. We have tons of videos for this product. I use it all the time with my family to go fishing. I go off-road with it. I use it on Disney World trips with the family, and I use it at home on the farm all the time. There's really not too much this thing can't handle. It is a workhorse, and like I said, I absolutely love it. I use it personally all the time. If you want to learn more about it, check out our playlist. I'll put it in the top right-hand corner of the screen. Now, I'm going to go ahead and tear this thing down to the nuts and the bolts. This is going to be a 3-part video series. This is a dirty scooter. I've been using it like crazy, and I'm going to clean it up along the way, which is a best practice. You should keep your scooter clean. The first thing you're going to want to do is take the seat off and remove the battery. This is a modular scooter. It comes apart, making it convenient when you're storing it in the trunk of your car or in your SUV. It breaks down, as you can see, into 5 lightweight pieces. Now that it's broken down, I'm just showing you, you're going to need a lot of tools to work on this thing. The first thing I'm going to do is remove the tires. You will need a hex bit or a hex key. You're going to want a complete hex key set for this job if you're going to break it down like I am. Depending on the job you're doing, like if you're just changing the tires, you're obviously not going to need as many tools. But in this case, I'm literally breaking the whole thing down almost entirely to the nuts and the bolts down to the frame. There are a few components I'm not going to break down completely, but hopefully this video will teach you how to repair most of the parts on this scooter and do some maintenance. All right, so I took the front tires off, and the next thing I'm going to do is disconnect all the lights. There are going to be about 4 or 5 white connectors, and you will want a little small flathead screwdriver to disconnect those because there's a little tab, and your fingernails aren't just enough to get in there and push that tab down. So get yourself a little tiny flathead screwdriver, and there's a total of 4 white connectors, although before removing it, I do recall that there was a 5th that I didn't see. So you'll see along in the video here. So now I have a right angle bit for my Phillips head screwdriver to remove some of the screws that are holding the main body panel to the frame. So I'm starting off with the top 2, 1 on each side. You'll see those screws that I just removed. And then there are actually 4 underneath the front headlight assembly, 4 screws that you'll want a Phillips head screwdriver to remove. So you'll see those there right underneath the front headlight assembly. And I will add that this is going to be one of the most powerful headlights on any scooter. Aside from the PX4, this thing is super bright. It's almost blinding when you look at it. So if you need something with powerful lights, this is definitely one of the best options. Now I'm removing a few of the screws on top of the body panel, starting off with 4 where the battery box goes. Then you have to remove the floor mats to access the rest of the screws that you'll need to loosen and remove in order to remove the body panel from the frame. So you're going to go ahead and look for screws underneath those floor mats. I believe there are about 5 or 6 of them total. Remove every single one that you see along the floorboard area. Now what you need to do is remove and disconnect the main wire harness and brake cable if you want to completely remove the body panel. I know it's a pain in the butt, but unfortunately this is something you're going to have to do. So go ahead and remove 4 screws from underneath the dash, and then you'll be able to expose 2 on top if you remove the colored panel along the top part of the dash. Now, there are a ton of different connectors in the dash, ton of wires. It can be really intimidating, but the good thing is they're all pretty much unique connectors, and they're color-coded as well. So as long as you match up the colors of the wires, you really shouldn't be able to make any mistakes here. If you're not used to working with scooters and machines that have a lot of connections, then this might be really intimidating for you. This video is intended for technicians and people who have experience with this sort of thing. If you're intimidated by this, it's probably not a good idea to work on it because you could cause more problems. So what I did was I just disconnected all of the connectors, and there are a lot of zip ties holding the wires, together in a bunch. Every single one of these components on the dash are pretty much plug and play. We do sell OEM replacement parts. Almost every single component has a sticker on it with a part number. So as long as you provide us with the part number and the serial number to your scooter, we can get you an OEM replacement part. We are one of Pride Mobility's largest parts dealer. Now what I need to do is release the brake cable from the brake assembly, the brake handle assembly. So there is a bolt, a machine bolt with a nut. You'll want to go ahead and loosen that up and kind of just disassemble the brake handle assembly. So you can loosen up that cable like I'm doing here, and then completely dislodge that cable from the handle. Something else you could do is kind of just take the whole brake assembly out first, but I decided to just leave that on the handlebar assembly, on the tiller assembly, so that I could just fish the wire through, the cable through rather. Now there are going to be 2 sets of bolts running through the main steering column, and those are used to hold the tiller handlebar assembly to the steering column. So you'll remove those 2 nuts and bolts, and then the whole handlebar assembly comes right off of the steering column. I like to just kind of thread the nuts and the bolts with the washers back onto the bolts, and I do use a magnetic tray to kind of keep everything organized. It is best practice to kind of just keep your nuts and your bolts threaded onto each other so you don't miss and match them and have a hard time figuring out which one goes where when you're putting everything back together again. There are going to be an additional set of 2 bolts and nuts at the bottom of the steering column, so you'll want to go ahead and remove those. And then really you just want to go ahead and pull the main wire assembly and the brake cable out. As you can see, it's running through the steering column, so you'll want to go ahead and run them out. Now, it is hot in South Florida, so I just was exaggerating and showing you that that was a tough job, and it is very hot and humid. So now I'm removing the little knob that allows you to lock the steering column. There's just a screw with a hex top that you'll need to remove. And then there are 2 bolts right underneath the knuckle that allows you to tilt adjust the steering assembly, the dash and the column for the tiller. So you'll want to remove those 2 bolts completely, so that way you can loosen up that knuckle and then expose and disassemble it slightly. The bottom part of the knuckle is metal, and it is on there tight. With the powder coated finish, I could not get that thing off without a hammer. So by disassembling that steering column knuckle, I was able to expose the actual steel part of the knuckle, and that's where I was able to use my hammer and kind of pound upwards. I'm just showing you that again to loosen it up, because it was not coming out by hand at all. So like I said, this was just something I had to do to remove that knuckle, that tilt adjust knuckle. And you may want to do the same thing. Just obviously be careful. You might scratch the knuckle a bit by doing this. Again, you do also want to remove that locking mechanism that prevents the steering column from swinging from left to right when it's in the stowed position for transportation. So that's what that is. Now what you're going to want to do is just go ahead and pull the brake cable assembly and the main wire harness assembly through the hole where the steering column comes out of the main body panel, and then you can kind of just start to wiggle and shimmy off that main body panel, assuming everything is disconnected and all your screws are out. It is a little tight, and when I went to go to remove it, I noticed there was one little wire left. I disconnected it, and here we have the frame. Very exciting stuff. So what you're going to want to do is just go ahead and remove any of the zip ties that you see holding that main wire harness that breaks apart, actually. So you have the main wire harness that breaks into 2 pieces, and if you need to replace that wire harness and troubleshoot it, you can use your multimeter and see if you need the entire wire assembly or just part of it. That's nice. You can actually buy it in different pieces. And now what I'm removing is the power connector for the battery box. It's a male and female connection basically for power. If you want to fix that or replace it, we have other videos showing you how to do that. These are very common pieces. They're just power connectors, kind of like a trailer connector that you use to get lights for your trailer connections. You know, there's pinouts, male and female pinouts. So you'll disassemble the actual block and then replace either the male or female pins, and then put the back plate back on to hold those pins into the assembly, screw it back together, and that's really it. They're pretty straightforward components. Usually they're just for sending power and signal for the controller or the motor and the brake assembly, whether it's the male or the female part. They all work the same. These are what you call the feather touch disassembly connectors and the battery connector blocks as well. Now what I'm doing is removing the plate that covers a lot of the connections on the controller, specifically the main wire harness, the brake assembly harness, and a couple of other harnesses as well. There is a gasket that's going to prevent moisture from getting in there, and that is kind of a pain to put back in there, but you definitely want to make sure that's there. And just go ahead and disconnect your main wire harness that has all the connections. They're all unique. There's really no wrong way to do it. Just make sure you take pictures if you're not sure or you're doing this for the first time. And then for the motor and battery connections, you're going to need a 10mm socket. Nothing to it. Just make sure you stick with the positive and the negative, red and black orientation. Again, take pictures. This is something that should be pretty straightforward if you are a technician. You are always going to have labels for M negative, M positive for the motor positive and the negative, as well as the battery positive and negative on all controllers. Now what I'm going to do is remove the set of nuts and the bolts that hold the controller to the frame. You will need to get underneath the frame. So go ahead and get your socket and your screwdriver, Phillips head, and just remove the 2 screws with the nuts, and there is a washer that hold that controller in place. So if you need to replace the controller, this is the process right here. You just got to take the whole thing apart as far as the main body, the front assembly, expose the controller, and then go ahead and disconnect all the connections, remove the controller, get your new replacement controller, and just plug everything back in, put Humpty Dumpty back together again. It is a little bit of a process, like I said, folks, but I've yet to have any returns or repairs where you need to replace the controller. This is a very rugged and durable scooter. Now I'm just kind of completely removing all of the wires. Like I said, I want to strip this thing down for those of you DIYers and technicians that really want to know what to expect before diving into a job like this. And there's that Feather Touch disassembly connector. Those are the male connectors. The female connectors will be on the motor side, which will be in part 2 of this video. The first part of this video, we're going to break down the front end. So make sure you subscribe so you can stay tuned and get notified when we release part 2 and part 3, which will be the reassembly. Now those power connectors, those male power connectors, are going to pass all of the signals, the positive and the negative power signals, to the motor and the brake assembly, and also the lights for the rear end. Since this has rear lights, it's going to send signals to the lights back and forth, as well as the power for the motor and the automatic braking system. To remove them, you just have the 2 screws, nuts and bolts that hold each of those set of 2 connectors to the frame. Really nothing to it. Just need a socket set and a Phillips head screwdriver, and they're going to come right out. Again, make sure you take plenty of pictures if this is the first time you're doing it. You may need to recall what the orientation is, whether or not the harness on the left side goes on the left side or the right side. If you get confused, taking pictures helps a lot. All right, now what I'm taking out is, it seems like a module for the light system. Basically, it's a really powerful light system, so I'm sure that this is going to help regulate the voltage and kind of control and distribute signal to the lights in and of itself. I would say it's a controller for the lights because it has such powerful lights. Now, if you need to do an alignment, we are going to make a separate video on that. But these rods here are going to allow you to adjust the alignment of each of the front 2 tires. There's no alignment necessary on the rear tires. They don't shift. The axles do not really shift. You can't turn the back 2 wheels. You can only turn the front wheels. So if you want to do an alignment, the front rods there that I was pointing out, that's how you do it. Now, to remove the hub and the disc for the wheels to come out with the bearings, there's just one main big bolt. Now I'm showing you here, there is a disc brake system, and if you see that the brakes are rubbing on the discs, you may need to do some adjustment to the caliper. And what I'm showing you on the screen is the actual bolt, the only bolt that you need to really work with. So you want to loosen that bolt, pull on the cable, and then retighten it if you have any issues with that brake pad rubbing on the disc. Now you can adjust the seat post up or down. You just need a hex key and either a wrench or a socket set to remove that main bolt that goes right through the seat post assembly, which does have a spring on it. Pretty nice. This thing has a ton of suspension built into the design, and it makes it really smooth when going off-road. So if you want to adjust the seat height, you actually do have a little bit of range to work with. You just want to make sure that when you're putting that main bolt through the sleeve, it's going through at the lower hole or the higher hole of the seat post assembly. Okay, so, take it out, raise it or lower it depending on your height and your preference. There's really not a lot that goes to it. When you're doing this, you may want to check to see if there's some lubrication in there. You do actually get a little pouch with some blue lubrication, and that's what you're seeing on the seat post. So reapply as needed, I would say once a year, just to keep things kind of rust-free and, you know, squeak-free and reduce noise there. So I just went ahead and raised the seat height a little. Make sure you push down on it and test that spring to make sure it's working, because if you do it wrong, it'll be locked in and you won't have that suspension feature. Now what I'm showing you is, I didn't know this, but the frame actually tilts from left to right, which is kind of like another form of suspension. Pretty cool. And we're wrapping up here, folks. I'm just going to clean the unit, spray it with some anti-corrosive spray. T9 by Boeshield is my choice. I hope you enjoyed this video so far. If you have any questions, make sure you leave them in the comments section. We will reply to you within 1 business day. And make sure you subscribe, because we have tons of videos, DIY videos, review videos, comparison videos, and more. Pay attention for part 2 and part 3 coming out very soon. I'm Sergio with Mobility Direct. I hope you enjoyed this video, folks. See you in the next one. Bye now.